Hello, my name is Mitch, and I draw Blood Force, and we're here today to watch the making of page 19, which, if you saw my last video, is a continuation from page 18. This is a page that has a large, pair of pages that has a large double spread for the top panels, and then we're getting into crazy action after that. So, yeah, this was there was a big effort to make things more dynamic. Dynamic's usually the word, or just awesome. Try to make things more awesome. So we got to bend the characters into just more and more extreme poses. Get real close on there. Get the angle. And this was that's what I was focusing particularly on. This one was getting a diagonal angle on that. I have a tendency to shoot everything straight on. I think I said that before. And yeah, it's no. If you want exciting stuff, you tip the panel. So it's diagonal. It's a Dutch angle thing. Every bad filmmaker knows that. And with the alien positioned where he is, and shock block position where he is here, it also tends to look like he's right on top of him, even though they're more just grappling face to face. But because of the angle, yeah. And we're getting extreme expressions. Everyone's screaming at all times. That arm needs to be beefed up. Still focusing on avoiding tiny heads or avoiding big head syndrome. We want to encourage tiny head syndrome. Yep. And there's a trying to get my Jay Lee on there with that axe thing. I don't think I can do it. I can't. It's one of those things I gotta have it for reference. I think if I ever want to do anything remotely successful, you can't just go Jay Lee. And so yeah, this is our first real close up of a Clerg, the evil aliens. They're a little bit underdesigned, but that's okay for these foot soldiers, I think. Next issue, they play. They're in the issue much more often, and we got a couple of specific Clerg that will be getting some roles. So we'll probably give them more elaborate costumes. Maybe just upgrade the regular armor. In the meantime, oh, I like watching these pencils tighten up. And just given the sense that, at least in this panel, Shock Block is outmatched, outnumbered, etc. But still holding his own. He's barely. And I went with Ninja Turtle hands. That wasn't exactly a conscious decision. It was more of a, I don't know, it just kind of happened and I went with it. I don't know. I feel like they should have been claws. When I'm doing the one that is more focused on in the second issue, I think he'll have claw hands, because why not? And then we'll see if I want to keep that going forward. Yeah, yeah, that arm is way it's too small, and in that it's like regular person sized. That's not going to cut it. I'll fix it up here. Trying for something a bit more generic with that. Now here we go, with the arm. Bigger, beefier. There we go. Much better. And better proportioned. Kind of like how that right hand turned out. Just the awkwardness of it. Yeah, has a much meatier arm. That works much better. And we've got our other aliens, like an alien horde in the background there. Ugh. Not the best lights. Oh well. I'll try and get in the shock block pose that I worked out beforehand. We get pretty close, I think. Oh, we stretched out the legs wider. What is that? Oh yeah, it's Firebird swooping in. And this is our first shot of the clerk. They just kind of come out of nowhere. There's no real lead up. I feel like if this was a more seriously scripted comic, we'd probably have something with them sneaking up on them or something. Or, just, I don't know, focus up on them more instead of just jumping in and they're all fighting and everything. But, no, we want to get to the fighting. It's been too long since we've had fighting. And that this is our first fight in this comic, really. Went a little bit the reverse on that arm because that arm's friggin' huge. But I'm okay with it. Yeah, get some debris in there from shooting at the ground here. Make it a bit more like a war zone. This is a tough angle, actually, for Firebird. I think it looks okay. And this is a pretty loose sketch from him, but it's not bad for a dude, again, swooping in on fire. Yeah, in most of my commentaries, I know I have a tendency to downplay what I'm doing. I didn't really have any problems with this page, I don't think. It went very smoothly and it was done very quick. But that's what fun action stuff can do, I guess. So that's all anybody really wants to draw. Yeah. Make it look like they're just getting barraged. Getting sprayed down with laser fire as soon as the clerks show up. Yeah, it's still being pretty rough with the pencils down here, but I think we want to get to the inks fairly quickly. That bottom panel looks pretty complete, so don't really want to put this off too long, I'm sure. The only problem with this upper panel is that there's a big space in the middle where nothing really is going on. But I'll fix that in a minute. Well, in a few minutes. Again, give the impression of the alien horde. Yeah, here we go. Let's get to some inks right away. Careful, careful. Must respect the panel borders. Because when you don't, you have to redraw shit. There we go. Yeah, really bend that back. Get some more shading in there. That arm shading is pretty made up. I'm trying to come up with something on that shoulder, but it's not really working the way I want it to. More dramatic shading. Now let's go right with the ink. No more messing around. That mouth shape is a little weird. It is a little bit what people do a lot of the time. You make weird shapes with your mouth, but I think yeah, it's a little off for this kind of comic. And I make a few attempts to try and fix it up here before finally coming up with something, I think. Yeah, move on. We'll come back to it. I've decided the bunny ears are sticking around, so I might as well put a little bit of effort into them. Make them a little bigger, make their shinies a bit more consistent. And this is a mistake here with the. I'm having a lot of fun with the brush. This is a mistake here with the shoulder. That's not really how those shadows should have gone. It's gonna take a lot of work to kind of fix that up. It's okay. It doesn't end up looking too bad. Yeah, this is all a bit much. I still got to work on planning out my shadows a little bit better. But like, yeah, those big black patches right in the middle of everything. That's way too much. And this is where I went a little crazy with the cross hatching. I think because of that shoulder. I kept having to add on lines to try and blend everything. and so then when you're done, it's like, oh wait, now everything should have so many lines. Put in some, even put in stretchies across the muscles. Yep. So much cross hatching. This is going to be a very cross hatched panel. That's okay. I'm well versed. And just because we decided to do this panel this way doesn't mean I have to do it in every panel. Yeah, that mouth still needs to be fixed. I'll get there. And there's a little bit of making things up on the fly with these. I got the basic shape of their costumes before I did this, but I think it wasn't super detailed. So I had a little bit here. They're okay looking, but they do look a little bird-like. I suppose that's fine. What, not bird aliens? Oh, this is a pain in the ass. All my pens kept dying on me here. This is one of those. I just have those days every once in a while where no pen works. Yep. Yeah, get working. See, it works okay now. Yeah, nothing's working. All these pens ended up working fine later on, just so you know. So I know what the shit was the problem. And get them turtle hands in there. Big blocky fingers. I think that's a good way to go, actually. I'm never sure exactly how I want to render my fingers. This ended up looking pretty good. Yeah, we're in crosshatch mode. Everything gets crosshatched. If there's any shading at all, it's going to get crosshatched into oblivion. Still trying to remember to keep some black going because it's always just you just always need it to balance out a page. And it's weird when everything goes smoothly, I don't have a whole lot to talk about on these. Just get to watch all those lines fill up. Yeah, there we go. I'm not sure about the brush on the outlines. Sometimes it just seems way too thick. I guess I don't need it every time. Yeah, make up some stuff so that thing looks kind of techy. The staff thing. So many unnecessary lines. Oh my god. Kind of a standard big alien kind of thing with I don't know, some like metalish armor and big old football shoulder pads. Oops. Drew the lines right through there, didn't you? Yeah, I mean, it's all straightforward. Just render out that bit, render out that bit. I think ideally this is how a page should probably go. And this did go fairly quickly. Yeah, I could do this. I could do a page like this probably in a couple of days if this was all I was doing. Is that what I did on the other side? I thought I blacked it in. I think I did too. Kind of freewheeling there. Yeah. All right. And yeah. Gotta make up the lower body. Something like this, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot to come up with an alien armor, I suppose, if you're not trying that hard. Yeah. Hatching, hatching, hatching. Yep. This is I'm starting to get a little sloppy with the hatching here. And I don't know, I think I'm maybe getting a little overconfident because that like shockblock here looks pretty good. Now throwing some background clerks here. We don't want them to be the focus though, so we're gonna do a lot of black on there, and then just cross hatch the shit out of them. But again, kind of sloppy, and that looks pretty nice actually. Because remember, we don't want him to be the focus. He's just part of the horde, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Another one here. He can be a bit more focused because he's taking up a fair amount of real estate. But we still want to make sure he's not taking away focus from the other guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're just going to do some more cross hatching because that's the mood we're in today. And you can see it's getting a little bit sloppier now. Oh yeah, get those laser blasts in there. And this is my attempt at Kirby Crackle, which I've never really tried before. I think it's okay. And this really kind of defines where the how much of the page's real estate we can take up with this. So yeah, the end result on that thing didn't end up looking very dearly at all. That's okay. Looks all right, I think. Again, a little sloppy on the inking here. That is kind of how it looks in the final too. And we need another guy here to take up more space, really get that sense of a horde. But he's not any kind of focus, so we want to black him out completely. Really, we just want the eyes. And draw a blast coming out of his head. No, that looks like it's coming out of his head. So forget that. Yeah. And we had no significant problems here, so I'm not going to... There's no... Did I... Yeah, I think this is fine. There's no repercussions for... Oh, I did white some of these out. Okay. I thought so. For inking sloppy so far. So I'm going to carry it over into the next panel. Oh yeah, I decided to base everything out of the corner here, which I think is a good move. Again, just random speed lines. Yeah, speed lines are one of those things I have not used at all up until I started this comic. So it's fun finding out like where they're appropriate, how to apply them, you know, where you make them coming from. Yeah, pretty good though. I don't know what that was. Why did I black that in? Yeah. And now we get to work on the big one, which is of course part 2 of the really big one. At the end of this, I'll put the two together. So yeah, we're starting with the outlines. And I remember doing this kind of fast. I mean, it's not the worst thing. I mean, you know, like, you want to get to a point where you can ink fairly fast. There is that aspect of, you know, I only have so much inking ability. How much of this is just me dicking around versus actually learning something. But yeah, no, there are parts of this I am still figuring out. I should take more time with it. Still feeling like cross hatching. I guess it still works there. But I know on some previous panels or pages, I would have made that a little blacker, a little bit more defined. This all looks fine, although those wrinkles at the bottom of the boot again are very just throw them on there. I think it might work. Yeah, you can see the pretty loose pen lines here. Like this at this point, I'm just convinced I'm Bill Sienkiewicz. Yeah, throw them on all the lines. Some parts will have kind of realistic hatching, and some will just be like an outline with very light hatching in the middle. And I think around here, I was just like, okay, slow down. That just looks sloppy. It worked a little bit on the lower panel, but a big part of that was because there was fairly tight penciling in the shoulder there. So tighten this up. I think part of the problem is that he's there by himself too, so I can't really see how well he fits into the background. So that looks okay. A little more black to balance it out. And that ass is really framed, isn't it? Gotta realize at some point, I'm just like, oh, maybe I should try and lessen that a little bit. And, at that point, I'm just kind of throwing on more black, which tends to emphasize it a bit more. It's like, oh, okay, this is just like Shock Block's booty shot then. All right. This kind of stuff is always interesting, trying to represent something that's fairly abstract, like, a dirt cloud or an impact. I'm never very confident. I tend to veer towards the usual comic methods, which is, so you get that flashy effect, get the big poofs for the cloud. But I don't know, I think it'll take a few pages before I'm like, yeah, this is how I handle this thing. And I forgot to put some electricity around Shock Block here, so let's do that now. Oh, I did fix up his mouth somewhere in there. Must have missed it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll forget to do it up top here for a while, too. One of the nice things about having done that lower panel first is I've got that nice big close-up of the Clerg warrior I can reference. And just repeat over and over again. Because these guys are going to be like, cannon fodder. Big bulky cannon fodder, but still cannon fodder. I like how those looked. The slightly underlit shoulder pads. This is a bit of a... I wasn't sure how to do the blast for the plasma, and I did not like this. How that turned out. The kind of sloppy blast pattern. So we've got to fix that up a little bit. But these guys look okay for just bursting out of the woods there. All of a sudden we're surrounded. And they got like mantis type legs. I'm not sure how well I conveyed that. I think reasonably. And if you don't, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. Try to squeeze as many of them in there in a little space as you can. And you can get a little crazy with the cross hatching, but just don't get sloppy with it. And try and blacken the bottom, but try to get like the impression of like the confusion of feet at the bottom of the panel there. See, that's a bit too blank. We should probably just throw some more black in there. Oh yeah, I like that. Against the black, that actually does look pretty good with the little flash. And yeah, just crop. Yeah, exactly. That's a bit messy, but that can be, and it just looks like feet shuffling around every which way. And we've decided that this big blank spot in the middle here, that's not going to be any good. So, since Firebird's flying in, and since he's not actually going to do a whole lot in the course of this fight, why not have him just like unleash an opening salvo? Which does raise the question a little bit. So why doesn't he just torch everybody all the time? And it's like, shut up, man. It's a little too easy. And then I don't draw people punching, and there's no guns shooting. It'd be boring. But pretty impressive for a big double page spread here to start with. I kept debating whether I should backlight these the clerk here. I don't think I made the wrong decision in front lighting them. Doesn't make any sense, but you still kind of need to know what we're facing. Like that's more important than yeah. If you backlit them, it would just be like, oh, there's guys, I suppose. But you need to know, no, they're birdmen and they're coming for you. I should have figured out the gun here beforehand. This is a bit. It looks a bit like a super soaker, but it's pretty small. But when we get more of a close up on one, do we? I'm pretty sure we do at some point. Then I'll figure it out beforehand. And just make up some extra lines to put in there and make it a little bit more techy. I swear the techie stuff is going to be the death of me. Yeah. And now let's work on that friggin' fire tornado. I don't think that ended up looking too bad at all. And it does add a fair bit to the image. Makes it a lot more chaotic. Fills up the space fairly nicely, so you're not just looking at trees there. That would suck, right? I think I'm planning on putting a couple of fairly large word balloons. So I was thinking, I can fill that up with that. But, like, no, it's... You got to put a bit more into it than that. This is the impressive shot. Let's make it as impressive as we can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and there's not a whole lot. I mean, I'm pretty much done at this point. Yeah, get rid of that. That's no good to anybody. You think you would have noticed it before it got to that point? No. But yeah, no, just put in the tree line, put in some clouds, and you're pretty good. And you can see I've got the other one here so I can kind of match up the tree line. But I still need to marry in the art a little bit. So it's not 100% done. Pretty close, though. Just trying to get super random with these the tree outlines. Carrying over the trees here, stumps. Yeah, I think that carries over okay. And now I gotta fill in some patches. I'm not convinced those look great. Maybe it's the kind of thing I should just let color figure out, but I don't know. I only see it in the black and white, so it's just like, man, that looks so plain. And yeah, I don't know that that really looks better. Big friggin' cancer in the middle of that tree. I don't know. Have to see how it turns out, I guess. And then the clouds. And I think that's about it. Those clouds don't look too bad either. Those are fairly Jim Lee looking clouds. Yeah, so there we go. So this should be, excuse me, the what the 2-page spread would look like. I'm getting some paper cement, so that's part of the problem is that the top left, the big panel on the top left there, is not completely secured, so I don't want to complete that drawing just yet until I get a way to glue it down better. But I think that's pretty good for announcing that we're entering action mode. And then this is going to be 3, 4, 5 pages of just crazy action. Far crazier than I've really drawn before, so let's see how well. I think it's going okay so far, though. Yeah, this is the good stuff. All right, so I'm already mostly done page 20, actually. So at least that'll be up in time. Then I can actually get ahead a little bit and maybe get the lettering done before I run out of videos. That'd be fun. I can kind of have a finished product. Yeah, that should do it then. So please like this video if you liked it. Hit subscribe, hit the notifications, follow me on Twitter. Go check out my Patreon. I've got all the finished pages there as well as my sketchbook stuff and these videos before they drop on YouTube. Did I forget anything? Nah, bye.